The night my son told me to leave his house, it felt like the world had ended. He stood there, eyes cold, voice sharp as glass. "Ma, you've overstayed your welcome. We need our space now." My hands trembled on the suitcase I'd packed for him years ago when he first moved out. Now he was packing me out of my own home. I didn't say a word. I just looked around. Every wall, every photo, every corner that had my memories. He thought he owned it all. He didn't know the papers in my safe drawer said otherwise, so I left quietly that night, tears burning my face. But when the sun rose, and he opened his door to see a notice pinned to the gate, "Property under new management," that's when he learned the truth. I wasn't leaving his house. He was leaving mine. I raised my only son, Daniel, in this house. A small 2-story home with peeling paint, a porch swing, and a kitchen that always smelled like cornbread and dreams. After my husband passed away, I worked double shifts at the nursing home, saving every penny so Daniel could have a future brighter than mine. He was a good boy once, polite, funny, always promising he'd buy me a big house one day. I never asked for much, just family dinners, laughter, and a roof over our heads. When he married Vanessa, I welcomed her like my own daughter. I gave them the master bedroom and moved into the small one near the stairs. I told them, "A house only feels like a home when it's full of family." But time changes people. And slowly, I began to notice the distance. The whispered arguments behind closed doors, the quiet dinners where no one looked me in the eye. I didn't know it then, but something dark was brewing. Something that would soon turn my love into heartbreak and my own son into a stranger. Mornings used to be peaceful. I'd wake up early, hum old gospel tunes, and make breakfast before Daniel left for work. Pancakes for him, tea for Vanessa. At first, she smiled and thanked me. "You're too kind, Mama Grace," she'd say. But soon, those smiles faded. My help became interference, and my love became old-fashioned. One evening I heard her whisper, "Daniel, we need our own space. Your mom's always around. It doesn't feel like our house." He didn't answer, but his silence said everything. I tried not to take it to heart. I started spending more time in my room, sewing and keeping quiet. But then little things began to change. The way they'd stop talking when I entered the room, how Vanessa would lock the fridge and say, "Groceries are tight this week." Still, I told myself families argue, and love always finds its way back. Then came the night Daniel forgot my birthday. No cake, no call, nothing. I sat on the porch alone, watching the lights go out one by one inside my house. That's when I first felt it. A quiet shift in the air, like a storm waiting to break. It happened on a Friday evening, the kind of quiet night when you can hear your own heart beating. I was sitting on the couch, mending one of Daniel's old shirts, when I heard the front door slam. Vanessa's voice followed, sharp and cold. "She's still here, Daniel. This can't go on. I can't live like this anymore." I froze. Their voices carried through the hallway like knives cutting through the air. "She's my mother," Daniel said softly. "She's got nowhere else to go. She's got somewhere. A sister, a friend, something. I married you, not your mama. I can't even walk around my own house without feeling watched." I wanted to disappear. I didn't want to be the reason for their pain. But before I could step away, I heard Vanessa's words that broke me in half. "If she doesn't leave, then I will." A long silence followed. Then Daniel's voice, heavy, tired, defeated. "I'll talk to her." My heart stopped. He walked into the living room, avoiding my eyes. His face looked like stone, but his hands were shaking. "Ma," he began, "you know I love you. You've done so much for me, but things are getting crowded. Vanessa needs space. We think it's best if you—" "Best if I what?" I asked, my voice trembling. "If you found another place to stay. Maybe just for a while." I stared at him. my son. The boy I raised with blistered hands and sleepless nights. Daniel, I whispered, this is the house your daddy and I built. Every brick has a story, every room a memory. You took your first steps right here in this living room. Where am I supposed to go? He looked away. We'll help you find somewhere nice. Somewhere nice? I said, laughing through tears. You mean somewhere else? Vanessa came down the stairs, arms crossed, wearing that proud smile that never reached her eyes. I've already found her a senior apartment. It's smaller, but it'll be perfect for her. Perfect for her. Like I was furniture being moved out. I stood there quietly, letting the words sink in. Then I turned toward Daniel and asked, Is this really what you want? He hesitated, just for a second, then nodded. That nod broke me more than any words could. I packed that night, folded my clothes carefully, placed my Bible on top, and zipped the suitcase, the same one I'd used when I left my parents' house to start a new life decades ago. As I walked out, the porch light flickered. I paused at the door and looked back. Daniel stood there holding Vanessa's hand. No hug, no tears, just silence. I said softly, Take care of the house, son. It's all I have left to give you. Then I walked away. When I reached the sidewalk, I looked up at the windows glowing behind me. My home, now filled with strangers. I whispered a prayer. Lord, let truth find its way home. What Daniel didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that years ago, after my husband's passing, I had quietly changed the ownership papers. The house wasn't in Daniel's name. It never had been. And the rent? Oh, the rent had just been renewed under a management company's name, mine. The next summer morning sunlight slipped through my window blinds in the small apartment I'd rented downtown, the same one Vanessa had smugly found for me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat by the window, sipping cold coffee, waiting for the moment I knew would come. At 8:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. Ma, there's a notice on the gate, he said, voice shaking. Something about new ownership? Rent due? What's going on? I took a slow breath. It means you'll have to pay your rent, baby. That's what happens when you live in someone else's house. He paused. What are you talking about? This is my house. I smiled faintly, though he couldn't see it. No, Daniel, it was never yours. When your daddy passed, I changed the title. I wanted to protect our home in case something ever went wrong. I made sure it stayed in my name. Silence. Then a broken whisper. You're my landlord. I guess I am, I said softly. And you just evicted your own mother from her house. There was a long, painful quiet on the line, the kind that feels heavier than any scream. Then I heard it. The sound of regret. His breath shaking, his voice cracking. Ma, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Vanessa, she said we needed space. I thought... You thought wrong, I interrupted gently. Love doesn't push people out, Daniel. It holds them closer. You forgot who stood by you when you had nothing. I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because truth sometimes hurts more than punishment ever could. That evening, Vanessa stormed into my apartment, eyes blazing, words sharp. You think you won? You embarrassed us. I stood my ground. I didn't win anything, I told her. But maybe now you'll learn that pride builds walls, and love builds homes. Within weeks, Daniel came back alone. The marriage didn't survive, but something else began to heal. His heart. He started visiting me every Sunday. We'd sit on the same porch he once told me to leave, sharing coffee and quiet apologies. I could see the boy I once raised slowly coming back. He offered to buy the house from me one day to make things right, but I told him no. It's not about ownership anymore, Daniel. It's about gratitude. As long as you remember what love costs, you'll never lose it again. He cried that day, real, heavy tears that washed away years of pride. And as the sun dipped behind the house that had seen both betrayal and forgiveness, I realized something profound. You can lose your home, your trust, your peace. But if you stand firm in love, you never truly lose yourself. Ice was going to teach my son the hardest lesson of his life. In life, betrayal doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from the very hearts we raised. But pain has a way of teaching what comfort never could. That old house wasn't just made of wood and walls. It was built with sacrifice, love, and memories. Things no one can evict. Daniel learned that too late, but life gave him another chance. And me? I didn't need revenge. Watching him understand the value of love was enough. Sometimes walking away in silence speaks louder than shouting your pain, because truth always finds its way home, just like the sun after a storm. So, if you've ever been pushed out by those you love, remember, God doesn't remove you to break you. He removes you so they can finally see you. Forgive, stand tall, and let grace be your final word.